What's up, everybody? And welcome to the House of Holocrons, episode. What was it? This one? 35. That's right, 35. I've forgotten because we've already gotten into so many double digits. But this is going to be a good one as we are on the eve of the finale eve episode.
Yes,
Uh,
yes. We have one more episode.
and we still had the last 3 days of celebrations. So that was chock full of announcements and so many amazing interviews and really cool reveals and things like that.
I
Uh,
think
so,
most of the major reveals from Celebration was mostly comic based,
mhm,
if I remember correctly. And not that to say that it's a bad thing. There's some
right.
big reveals, like the new Droid comic coming out.
Yes.
So like Dark Droids or something like that. And then you also got a
All the High
new,
Republic stuff,
yeah, the new
Phase
the well
3.
the yeah the new phase of High Republic. And there's some others I can't remember offhand.
And then let's see, there was we had a bit more of the gaming news. I think the second day they talked about
Yeah.
Survivor a bit. That was
Yes.
we got to see some fighting with the Gendai. We actually saw like his squiggy wormy inside, so that's 100% still canon. So I don't know how they're going to be able to. It's going to be a fun fight since the guy cannot be killed.
You gotta hurl them into a sun.
Right, Superman
Um,
style.
yeah, we get we also at the end of it we get the announcement of the next celebration, which is going to be in 2025. They're still doing their kind of 2 years.
Yep.
Um, for the older fans, you would know that celebration used to be every 4 years. Um, and it used to be every like they would only keep it in certain cities, and there still kind of are. They're only kind of keep it in cities that have Disney parks. But this one's Tokyo. So yeah, sad news for us because it's gonna be hard to attend that one.
Yeah, now it's even harder for us to get there. But with positive attitudes and positive minds, we will prevail. I'd like to say we're gonna be at Tokyo celebrations.
As much as I love Star Wars, if I go to Tokyo, to be honest, I would rather not go to Star Wars convention. I'd rather enjoy Tokyo. To be
That would be
honest,
the
and like if
problem.
I'm
Like, I would need to go for another like 4 or 5 days after as well, just to enjoy being in Japan
yeah,
for the first time ever.
I love traveling and experiencing things. So yeah, that would be difficult for me to be locked in a convention hall all weekend. And then we also get the announcement for Return of the Jedi is going back in theaters for the 40th anniversary on April 28th.
Yes, and I hope they actually drop that poster. Did you see the that poster reveal that came with it?
Yes, yeah.
I want that poster so badly. As you guys can see, there's this one here. Return of the Jedi is my all-time favorite, like Star Wars movie. Just in like, I just love the story in it, and definitely my favorite original trilogy movie.
Yeah, it's a really good one. There's so many good things with it. Like the addition of the Ewoks. I'm just kidding. That's one of the jokes.
The addition
Um,
of the Ewoks.
but it's a good movie. I'm hoping to go see it on the 28th. I'm hoping that that'll be one of the weekends you can come down. We can watch it together. If
Yes.
not, it'd be awesome if you can. If not, I understand. You got a child and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna try and
But
eventually have a live stream together, guys. Don't worry, we'll work on that. But
we did get a Vision trailer drop. Vision
yes.
season 2. Get to see some of the clips from the upcoming studios and the show. So we also get, I think we originally had some of the studios drop
Yeah,
and
but
some
we actually
titles.
got interviews with I think almost like I
Yeah,
think it was like 4 studios that had a panel watch celebrations. The Spanish, there European Spanish, and then there was the Latin American, and I think Korean studios were definitely the few I saw. But
Aguirre. I think so.
amazing looking stuff. The opening one, Sith, which is apparently going to be the starter for it all, which is this
Yeah,
badass female Sith master and apprentice running away. Like, great story already. The animation looks so cool. We have
yeah,
like
they're all good ones. And
we have stop motion. I did not expect to see stop motion.
there's like a what if one with Anakin as well.
Mm.
As if he stayed with his mother or something like that.
Ooh, I didn't
Uh,
even see that one.
yeah, there's it's called like the mother or something.
That okay. So what
No,
happens if
no,
Anakin
it's called
stays on
it's
Tatooine?
called I Am Your Mother. It's young pilot Annie, I believe is a girl now, who is embarrassed by her sweet but clingy mom, must team with her for a madcap family race at the academy. Along the way, the relationships tested by the elements, their old ship, other racers because they're doing pod racing,
Yeah.
each other. So yeah, so it's like Anakin's a girl. and her and her mother are a lot closer in this.
Mm-hmm.
She's actually
And it seems like
supportive
she
of her
doesn't
racing.
leave, or like Qui-Gon must have never found.
Yeah, you can see it in the trailer that the clips of girl
That's
Annie
what I'd
and
be
that.
most interested in, is like how, like what happens. They never get shot by the escape from Naboo, so they never have to land on Tatooine and just
If
totally bypass.
if they don't do it, I hope they do a sequel where it does a female
Yeah.
Darth Vader,
Oh
like all
yeah.
the way. That'd be cool. There's the cool Sith one about a Sith apprentice. There's a bunch of them. They all
Mm-hmm.
look pretty awesome, and of course we get the if you're a big fan of what's that old movie called? Well, not that old, but this the stop motion animation.
Oh, I mean, there's so many. Wallace and Gromit, Chicken
Yeah,
Run.
Wallace and Gromit, Chicken. That's the same. They're doing an anime. They're doing
Yeah,
their stop motion for an episode, which is cool.
which almost has like
Um,
a
s-
Inuit or a northern indigenous person
remember,
like
is
vibe,
there?
which is really cool as
Oh,
well. I'm super pumped for Visions. All of the different art
yeah,
styles were amazing. Everything you guys get to see in that trailer is gonna really blow you away if you haven't seen it yet. So after this
yeah.
podcast, make sure to go
It's
check
like
it out.
the similar to the first one, except there's more episodes, and it feels like they've amped it up even more.
Right.
So yeah, this is gonna be a fun uh, May 4th, because when it comes out. Yeah. So then I think that's all the news, and then we got a pretty long and very filled episode of Star Wars, The
The
Mandalorian,
Mandalorian.
Episode 7, The Spies.
Yeah.
Um, ends in a cliffhanger, so we definitely are getting straight into the action next episode.
I would like to
Um,
say just right off the bat, I have never in my life loved an episode so much and been so fucking mad at what I think is a black hole of plot just whyness, which we will have to get to at the very end
I
because it's
wonder,
a
yeah,
very nitpicky
I wonder
thing.
which part, because there's
I'm gonna
several plot
go
holes.
off.
There's
But
there's a lot of them for me.
it opens
There's
up
the
with
yeah
something awesome, really cool
the
stuff. We're gonna get some more Imperial backstory. We get to see
the
that lady, can't
yeah
remember her name, but the
it's
obvious
the
Imperial
best.
still.
What's the best setting we've been begging for them to do,
Hmm.
which is an underbelly of Star Wars, and
Right.
like and in an urban environment, not in the middle of the desert where we get the back alleys of
Yes,
Coruscant,
that's why
also
we're
known as the
so
lower
Yeah, that's
levels.
why we're so angry that 1313 got canned.
Also, the show that we're gonna do a show on the lower levels, and that got
Yep.
canceled as well. But yeah, we get to see Kane, which is the Imperial officer that's not a spy,
Yeah, and
sneaky around,
totally rehabilitated.
and the sneaky Imperial probe droid. Okay,
That
I
yeah.
know we're gonna wait
Plot
on the
hole number
plot
one:
holes.
Coruscant is filled with literally trillions of people. You're telling me nobody saw an Imperial
Uh,
probe droid floating
how does
around?
Jack Black's planet have more security than the X capital of the entire galaxy?
I guess that just shows how bad the New Republic is.
Probe droids are so huge. The Imperial probes are giant. They're not, and they're not quiet
The
when they're firing. They're so
Imperial
loud.
Viper droid is one of the most iconic, like obvious Imperial droids. It's just got to be a way of putting it. That's how like blind the New Republic are right now. They're not
Yeah.
paying any attention.
So yeah, it floats in, and then we see a hologram of a familiar face that we're not very surprised of seeing.
Yeah,
It was
Moff Gideon,
it's,
because he got broke out. He's definitely not dead.
and guess what? It confirms their favorite pilot. That yeah, she was behind the pirates invading Navarro the whole
Yes.
time.
So that kind of made a lot of sense to see that. We all knew in a sense like something has to be going on here. Why would they just be attacking? They could have also
Yeah.
just been pirates, but I am happy to see it makes sense for Gideon to be using the pirate nation and the remnant to be using them to push agenda, more or less. Because then we get into what I think is even far cooler. Believe the next scene is the Dark
We
Council.
cut we cut to Gideon walking to his
Yes.
base. We don't jump to the council yet because we
Well,
passed two giant things
yeah,
on the way to the council.
but we don't
One,
know what they are yet.
One being some new, I guess we'll call new
New
troopers. I
troopers, they look
mean,
awesome. They look really
they're
dope.
just standing there. I thought they were droids at first because they're
Me
just
too.
perfectly still.
I thought
I'm
those were
like,
like the new Dark
yeah,
Troopers, which I
that
guess they
sucks.
are technically
They
kind of the
are
new Dark Troopers.
they replacing the dark troopers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there we go.
And then we also we're gonna refer to this later. Several cloning tanks. It looks like.
Yes.
And we're going to refer to that later because it's some contradictions. So yeah, and then they walk into this big hall with some holograms of several Imperial officer holograms.
Which is the
Uh,
Dark Council, which is the council that ran the
yeah,
Remnant, more or less. And this is going to be some really awesome Imperial backlore where we get to really learn what the
we
Remnant
get
is
two.
doing. And honestly, how much more cohesive the Remnant is than the New
Yes.
Republic thinks they are.
Yeah, we get some. Yeah, we get some filler information. We get two major name drops, and then we get one. So it's funny. We get one guy, and he's like, they're like, "Yo, you gotta chill it." He's like, "Dude, I'm getting rich out here." He's like, "Yeah, you're drawing too much attention to it.
Right,
Stop
yeah.
it."
Yeah, you're doing so much with all this hyperlane plundering and stuff. And we see a plethora of different Imperial officers, admirals,
There's
kind of
that,
things like
and there's
that,
also
Moffs.
spots missing. So
Yeah.
I think there's two spots missing. So one probably Thrawn, and the other, sorry, spoiler. Who knows? You know,
Yeah,
clone
and
of
the other one is,
Sidious.
to me, I believe the other one. Oh, I'm gonna hold on. So, but yes, one of them is definitely Thrawn, because just to kind of, not want to say spoil it, but to give things away,
I mean, we're about to
Thrawn
say
will.
it.
Yeah,
So.
Thrawn is mentioned. They are wondering
Yes.
where he is. Even Moff Gideon is talking about trying to take over his position and look for new leadership, because of course, like most Imperials, Moff Gideon only cares about himself and furthering himself within the Empire. That's all he cares about.
The first mention we get from Brindle Hux, he's talking about, hey, he's trying to control things. Which, if you don't know who Brindle Hux is, he is the father of Armitage Hux, who is the
Yes.
First Order officer from the sequels. He's kind of one of the big. He's kind of the First Order officer, bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. He's the father of him, but it's actually played by the actor's brother. So I don't know if you knew, he's the two are brothers in real life. Both Hux, the Brendel and Armitage, their actors are brothers.
Okay, that's awesome.
So yeah, they hired his brother because he looks a little older than him, and yeah, and they look related. They are just so yeah, and so Brendel Hux, he's also the big thing also about Brendel Hux in the lore and the in between novels. Brendel Hux is known for he starts abducting the children for the First Order troopers.
Yes,
So they're
he
like
is gonna
here by Finn.
create the first. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and he also mentioned, and in the books you find out he gets the idea from the Jedi about stealing children and
Yes.
indoctrinating them.
So I looked it up. The other one I believe is Ray Sloan, who is another admiral and is pretty much the head of Exegol and all of Palpatine's
Yeah.
stuff. And
Well,
that's
we
mostly
also
you'll see her mostly only in the comics. And if you read the Bounty Hunter comics, that is where you'll see a lot of her.
we'll get we also get Pelion.
Mm.
He's the one who mentions Thrawn the most. He's also Pelion is from the novels, the what's the Heir of the Empire
Yes, Heir to
novels.
the
He's
yeah.
like Thrawn's like right hand man. So
Which is
it's very fitting that
it seems this is the kind of direction they're going in is leaning more towards Heir of the Empire, which I'm
and
fine with. It's a fun
it's a
story to
good
pull
books.
from.
Yeah, the good books. There's three of them, I believe, and
Mm-hmm.
they're a really good story. Plus, Thrawn's awesome.
Right.
Um,
And of
you
course,
know,
the
I,
celebrations we did get, of course, the full like it is going to be. It's the voice actor who it was Thrawn is Thrawn, Lars Mikkelsen. That's correct.
yes, yeah. He's the Rebels voice actor.
Yes.
Um, but I will say I'm kind of skipping to some later talk, but now we're talking about Thrawn, um, and Gideon kind of mocks the idea of Thrawn. He's like, "Where's he at?"
Yeah.
Because they're like, "Hey, we got to prepare for Thrawn. That's what all this is about. So we got to get our money together. We're getting ready for Thrawn to prepare to bring back the Empire."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Dude, where's Thrawn?" My first thought was, "Man, it's gonna be so satisfying when Thrawn shows up and ends Gideon." I know I should want the Mandalorians to kill them because that's revenge, but it'd be really satisfying if Thrawn just shows up behind Gideon, just ends him right there.
Oh, it would be amazing too, just in that awesome suave voice. Just, oh, is that really what you think?
Thank you for the new troopers.
Yeah, and it just finishes him off right there. And everyone, and just rounds up the whole troop. It leaves Mandalore. We don't need this place.
But yeah, so yeah, and then they mentioned some other things. They mentioned, yeah, Gideon mocks the idea. Also mentioned Project Necromancers. They're like
Yeah.
debating, like Gideon's like, hey, I need money. Like, hey, Project Necromancers refer to the cloning of Sidious. Bring back
Hmm.
Sidious as Project Necromancer, because they got to try to save the sequel some way or another.
Yes, and it is Hux
Um,
who is the head of most of the cloning
yeah.
stuff, but working with Gideon and Pershing, of course, who is now potato soup in his
Well,
head.
so Gideon, and that's the thing is Gideon says, he goes, hey, he goes, I'm not interested in cloning. That's your thing.
Yeah.
He says that in the thing, and then it's crazy because I'm guessing he's doing it in secret because he
Hmm.
literally just passed cloning.
Yeah, true.
That's and he's also showed interest in cloning before, with the Dr. Pershing
Hmm.
before. So I'm wondering if he's cloning in secret and not telling them,
But
which
he, yeah,
that's fits Gideon with
right.
the T. I mean, he's got. I feel like what he has on the base that will be mentioned later, that they don't know about. That's all him.
Right. Um, but of course, he will require or he will request aid
Yeah.
from Hux because, as he was speaking about earlier with the Imperial spy in the New Republic, he's upset because the Mandalorians are working together. They have actually came together, and they are going to immediately,
Yeah.
exactly as he calls it, try to retake Mandalore.
I mean, it makes sense because the rest of the galaxy doesn't really have an army, and if somebody could start an army, it would be the Mandalorians
Hmm.
coming back together. So it makes sense, though it kind of feels a little early for them, but yeah, they're like he's like, yeah, you're doing this project, this guy's not showing up, and you're doing this other project that, it's gonna fail because your scientists suddenly lost memory. Um, I think, and that's my guess is that Gideon purposely had Kane wipe his memory so that
Hmm.
his project would purposely fail, so he'd get more funding towards him. I think he set it up for that reason.
Or if
I could
nothing
be
else,
wrong.
also just to keep him quiet in case
Yeah.
Pershing knew anything about what Gideon was doing, and he didn't want the others to know what he was doing.
It was very also convenient that it also helped get his funding as well.
Right.
So what he does, they asked for his support. He gets some Praetorian Guard. They also tie interceptors and tie bombers.
Hmm.
Tie interceptors, if you don't know, they're the very fast TIE fighters.
They're the ones that attacked Bo and Din in the last episode, or last
Yes, yeah.
two episodes or so.
Which we'll go back to later about those TIE interceptors.
Because we do
Um,
cut finally back now. We get the title, The Spies, which is going to cause a whole bunch of strife through the entire community as it has, and we will talk about who we think the spy is towards the end
or
because there are
because there's
many
a
theories.
there's a plural at the end of
Yes,
spy. So there's,
spies.
as we know, one is king.
Yep.
It's not obvious at the very beginning that she's definitely a spy. But yeah, we get back to Navarro
Hmm.
after that, where a large Imperial light cruiser just casually flying over, and everybody's like,
Yeah, everyone else starts to kind of crap their pants
drown
until
it.
Grief
Yeah,
Karga looks up and says, "It literally has a giant mythosaur
it's
on
like,
it,
yeah,
guys."
yeah. You see the giant skull. Like, we literally just invited these guys.
Yeah, it's
It's
okay.
like, and I think Karga's like, it's like, hell yeah.
No, I bet he's impressed. Once he tells the town people that those are the Mandalorians, I bet they were all impressed because it's a good fleet. All of those
I didn't
Caracrome
realize
Cobblers
how
class
much they
fighters.
had.
Yeah, they have a lot.
I Jack Black's probably mad now. He lost his whole fleet.
He lost his whole
How's he
fleet.
gonna steal Princess Peach now?
Right.
And then yeah, so yeah, you see he's like points it out, and then we see the two clans meet each other. Literally, two worlds
Finally.
collide. You see the remnants of the Children of the Watch, and you see the remnants of the kind of a lot of the original clans. Even though it's
Hmm.
funny that some of them are ex Death Watch on the other side as well. So
Right.
it's you get both kind of. It's our because Mandalore got guys, most glassed, I should say. Most of our remaining Mandalorians are related to Death Watch because they were banished off planet.
Pretty much. But you have the few Mandalorians, like will be mentioned to a degree later on, that were on Mandalore on the Night of the Thousand Tears, and then you have those who were simply on the other planet with Death Watch, with the Children of the Watch, which is a fun little talk that we'll eventually get into as well. But first, we finally do get A little chit chat between Bo and Din
Yeah,
where they're just like, Bo of course is like, this is immediately gonna go wrong. They're gonna fight. It's
yeah.
gonna blow up.
And then the armor shows up. Hey guys, she clings her hammer and tongs together, and she's like,
Yep.
"Hey, uh, so this she says, hey, let's have a feast so they can unite them together."
Yes.
Which my first thought is, how is this going to happen? Because they can't eat with other people. That's like the worst thing you invite them to do together because they can't do it together.
No, you just bowl, helmet, slurp,
They
put
just need
down.
straws.
Yeah, lots of straws. Okay, but you're
Just
shit. You're,
in the background with blenders so they can
yep.
suck up
While they're just
the
like
meat.
staring at you awkwardly, and then the straw comes out. They talk, put it back in. But
As
you
they
know,
suck up their
yeah,
foundlings.
they're nutrients.
With the foundlings who we find out later it's the birds they killed.
Yeah.
So some people think it's the foundlings, the babies, or it could be the mother, but the mother's been dead for a while,
Yeah.
so it's probably the babies. They're not much found.
Well, they
But
had a
yeah,
nice little base built already, and we're definitely working on things. But it is very nice to see that things are looking good for the Mandalorians on Navarro. But
and Navarro repairing as
as
well
of
too.
course, the armorer has talked about already, why stay on Navarro? They're going for
Well,
Mandalore.
we get something big before that. Karga shows up to give Din two presents,
Yeah.
one wine and one an IG-11 that is no longer
Slash
IG-11.
12.
It's now IG-12, which has been turned into some kind of vehicle mech suit.
And someone found
Um,
the liquor bottle that he was given. He was given a type of tequila that costs
that's
$350 per bottle.
well, that's one prop I won't be getting.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then yeah, he's like, "Hey, this is for Grogu," and then I'm like, "That's the dumbest thing ever." My first thought, and then he gets in it, and then it's cool because
Yeah,
so
I
they
didn't
they
see
fixed
there was
two things.
there's an Anzellan inside of it piloting it
Yeah,
because they gutted him out, and that's the only way to make him work, which is why he's IG-12
it's
now.
Din's immediately no. I'm like, yeah, you're literally putting a small child with it's still mind of a toddler and a literal weapon. Um,
But Grief Karga says, at least let him try it on, and he puts him in there, and we get probably one of the most hilarious scenes I've ever seen, especially as a new parent.
the, it's like the dogs with the yes and no button.
Yeah.
Um,
Grogu has a
you
yes
get,
or no button in the IG unit. Din's
so you
like, all
can
right,
finally
get out of there. And he
start to
literally just goes, no.
you can finally start to communicate now with just yes and no's,
And
and
he just
he
starts
loves.
he starts to spam no and run away from Din, and he spams yes as he's running away from Din.
Well, the first part is the funniest to me because when he first gets in and he hits the yes button, he's like, yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
He loves it. It was
And
awesome.
then, but it fixes two things with Grogu: one, lack of communication, and
Mhm.
two, I'm tired of seeing the space stroller, so now he can actually move
Right.
around. And then the
And
final thing, it's the
he's
start.
actually able to keep up. He learns how to control the thing pretty good.
But my biggest thing, my next thought was, this is the beginning of Warlord Grogu's new powerful form. This is how he's going to conquer the galaxy.
Yeah.
He's going to still be small, so he's going to stay in a giant mech suit. So we're going to, instead of like Darth Vader taking off his helmet, it's
Yeah.
going to be
Well, that's the thing.
opening
People
up.
will be like, "Oh, whatever. You're just in a mech," and then he'll get out of it with the dark
You can't see
saber
him.
and
What
just
if
be like, "I'll kill you with the force."
they make him and you can't see him inside of it, so you can use the Force.
Yeah.
It's like, how are you using the Force without moving your body? Or if it's like a droid, they see a droid
A
and like,
droid
how is
can't
it
use the
using the Force?
force. Yeah.
That'd be so cool. Yeah, so they eat and then after that they start to eat the dinner of looks like giant birds. So either the foundlings which makes the most sense because again,
Right.
the previous birds have been dead, they'd be rotten by
We
now.
kind of fattened him
And
up a little.
and then yeah, Bo starts her speech about wanting to go to Mandalore, which asks for
Who will
volunteers.
join me? Of course, Din is the first one. He's like, "I will go."
Yeah,
And
after a
then,
brief pause,
yeah, a brief pause where everyone's like, "I ain't doing this. I'm not doing this. I don't trust him. I don't trust him either."
we get
Yeah.
we get I don't remember her real name, but her wrestler name is Sasha Banks.
Koska
Goes back-
Reeves.
Yeah. Well, I'm
And
talking about her like actor, her person name.
what do you mean?
Her,
Oh,
her
like the actual human.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
have sadly. I think her last name is Mercedes. But
I think so.
But yes,
And he goes back and forth. Yeah,
Koska Reeves, then Paz, then Axe, then
yeah.
Rando.
It's like their
Oh,
versions
big
of each
thing
other.
in that scene. A lot of the Mandalorian Mercs Costume Club are also talking about this. We do finally get to see, for the first time in canon, a Night Owl female Mando wearing male Boba style separated chest piece.
Well, most of the ones on the kind of the opposite side have most of the older separated chest piece part
Yeah,
because they have the original armor. Um, they didn't get to upgrade, so we get a lot of that traditional plate separation on the other side. And a lot of people are like comparing because they've been seeing the Children of the Watch, and they're thinking that they're wanting to change the whole thing because some of them are missing cod plates and they
mm-hmm.
want to change how everything is. You gotta remember these guys have been running on scraps, so they don't have the full complete kit.
Yeah,
Whether if you want to make it canon or not, traditionally Mandalorians don't usually, that's yeah, that you have one guy has like a scrappy leather pauldron that's falling apart. They get
right.
use what they can get. Not all of them can grab a huge thing of Beskar and make a full suit out of it, like
Yeah.
the main character got to. Well, ex-main character now.
So we finally do get everyone on the ships, though, and the entire
Yeah,
fleet pretty much takes off to Mandalore with their
yeah,
group of
because
fighters.
yeah, they're afraid to land the entire fleet because it's too dangerous. So they're
Yep.
gonna send down a boarding party, which is the volunteers. So yeah,
Yes. We get they go to Mandalore. The fleet kind of pauses in atmosphere, and the boarding party, the search party, sorry, go planet side. They get through the crazy storm, and they begin to land, and it is awesome. There's a lot of their first times
yeah.
on Mandalore.
And as they start to scout the surface, suddenly a large barge shows up out of nowhere and comes flying towards them.
Yes, which I was immediately like, "What the heck is going on?" This was a
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, the barge looked awesome, and then
yes,
we find out they were Mandalorians.
right.
It
That had been
happened
surviving.
that the only thing that there's a couple things I hate with this scene, but we'll
Hmm.
talk about most of it later. The first thing I have that I will mention now is that they immediately know Bo-Katan like they just spoke to her yesterday.
I mean, have you
It's
seen her
just,
haircut and like headband? It's pretty obvious.
but they're Mandalorians that have been surviving since the fall of Mandalore, and we get the badass Mad Max looking surviving Mandalorians, which is an awesome design. I love the whole design.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and they talk about how they've been surviving and they have another feast together,
And we get some
which
awesome lore about
we get
what
some
happened.
yeah some filler information of what happened with Bo the Darksaber and with the Children of the Watch.
So what a
We get all
surprise,
this.
though, that of course Bo-Katan did actually try to surrender to keep the Mandalorian world and people from being destroyed to Moff Gideon. So Moff Gideon took the dark saber and said, "Ha ha," and did it anyway. What a surprise! And then we get to learn that we have the armorer next who talks about how the Children of the Watch aren't actually um, the main cult that is Death Watch. They, of course, got accused of that, but Death Watch themselves were separate. She speaks of after the fall of Mandalore, how Death Watch itself became so fractured, like the main Mandalorians, that through all the infighting, the only ones that were really left over, or at least safer, were these converts, these children of the Watch, who went off and did their own thing. Even more reasons for her to. Hello. Yeah, don't worry, Josh. We'll talk about that. We'll get into all that fun stuff later on because, again, this is called The Spies, and as you guys have probably been watching this episode, you're gonna pick up on a few things going on that are, a little on the strange side, a little on the crazier side. Um, but it has been a stellar episode up to this point. I won't say up to this point. I should say from here on out, things get not rocky, but crazy. They go through the roof with emotion and with just absolutely crazy turns that I would have never seen coming. So, as the barge is leaving the next day after a very heartfelt night, we get to see the Mandalorians looking onto this gorgeous sunset, with the green glass stuff just like poking out and popped up everywhere. and what I believe was a mountain. I thought it was a mountain. It is not a mountain. Started to move in the distance. They begin to notice this mountain moving, and everyone becomes kind of scared. I thought at first it was the mythosaur. I 100% thought we were about to see the mythosaur pop up, come out of its underground lair, and like make itself known to Din and Grogu and Bo, and that was kind of where the episode was going to go. I kind of figured that would be the big thing in this episode is taming, fighting, or surviving around the mythosaur. Not it. Instead, it is a extremely large, shelled, club-like, almost dinosaur-looking creature. Um, Much like and I know we just recently thought about it last night with my wife, but a very large club-tailed dinosaur. But this thing's behemoth. Again, I thought they were mountains. I thought it was literally just a mountain range. But this massive head comes breaking out of the crust. We get to see this huge shelled armored back and this massive, like almost club tail.
Yeah.
So I'm beginning to think that Mandalore must have just been filled with huge, crazy dinosaurs, and now they're all radiated.
Yeah, well, traditionally, and Star Wars lore and Mandalore lore, that's what happened, and they were hunted to extinction. So it was the whole point of Mandalorians kind of dominating the surface, but they've always had giant beasts. Yeah, it was one giant plot device.
And it is really cool how in a sense with what you said, it came bursting out from underground, which I imagine if that's what the mythosaur was too, a lot of these creatures probably did live underground for a long period of time.
Yeah, it's something we've seen before with what's that creature called? There's an episode of Clone Wars that literally had that same deal.
Oh man, now of course. Oh, the Zillo Beast.
Yes, the Zillo Beast episode in Clone Wars, the same principle when they were blowing up the surface to mine, woke up an ancient beast that got slumbered.
Yeah.
So I guess it's the idea of that these beasts are able to kind of hibernate underground for long periods of times, which is realistic. That does happen in our world, just not to that extreme.
Yeah.
So yeah, where like creatures will literally entrap themselves and stay underground for long periods of time, and then suddenly wake up.
And yeah, it's much more common in the reptile world because of their cold-blooded nature and stuff like that. Well, of course, we have no idea what this giant dino was, but it was cool nonetheless. It was so cool. And again, like I said earlier, it's not that things get bad. They get bad in a good way. But the giant dinosaur was awesome and it was terrifying. So that makes them, of course, get wrecked, and they leave the barge. Barge gets kind of destroyed.
Well, my first thing is like, why did they just keep driving towards it? They didn't try to turn. They didn't try to slow down. They literally just like, oh, just keep going that way.
Eastbound and down. They had no other way to go, man. It was a one-way ticket.
Did you talk about the I apologize for having to leave that important call. Would you talk about the awesome speech between Bo and
yes.
Din?
Oh no, I actually kind of forgot about the one between Bo and Din, in which I won't say Din confesses his love, but Din straight up like gives the best pep talk I've heard anyone give in Star Wars in a long time.
He's like your story hasn't been written yet. Stop beating yourself up.
Yeah, you are the mighty lady Bo-Katan Kryze, and like he's like, I will swear myself to you until your song is written. And I was just like, oh, bro, they're gonna get married. They're gonna get married.
Favorite part that he says is like, I don't care about darksabers. I don't care about bloodlines, which is exactly what the original Mandalorians were about.
Right.
Until the Clone Wars came out, Mandalorians are literally a culture of anybody. You join the culture as long as you follow the creed, as long as you follow the brotherhood, and just brother, sister, family, the clan.
Yes.
It didn't matter what race, sex, anything. You wore the armor, and that was your new look. You didn't care what you were underneath.
Yeah. The Iron Heart. That's why that Iron Heart that you see all of them have in the center, pretty much. That's why it's so iconic. It's because that was the heart of the Mandalorian.
That's what I love. That's what I love Mandalorian so much. So I hate hearing. It drives me crazy about this Darksaber and the bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that this tries to pull them away. Like, hey. Pulls them away from that mistake. I know I get why they did it. It's kind of like the complacency with the Jedi, the whole deal. But yeah, Mandalorians originally weren't about that,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping it gets away from that, and that's what they kind of need to do because they keep having this feud.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also she mentions like, hey, this sucks. We'll never make it because we always
Infight.
we're
Right.
our worst enemy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but yeah, you talked about where we find out where the Children of the Watch came from as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
Yeah,
The fighting with Death Watch and how, like, she
it
literally
was
just said everyone started to infight the second Mandalore got pretty much blowed up.
the armor basically said the Children of the Watch was literally a splinter group of a splinter group.
Right.
The splinter group of the Death Watch that got
That
split
makes
up
me
when they
wonder
were
though, is
infighting.
original Death
Um,
Watch still out there somewhere?
I don't know. It could be because she said they split up in several clans.
I was
So
gonna
one
say,
of
so
them
if nothing else, that could
joined
be,
joined Bo.
with whatever happens tomorrow, Wednesday. Who knows? Uh,
At least we know they're not with Gideon, which is good. At least I'm assuming they're not with Gideon, but that's skipping things.
yeah.
But anyways, we'll go back to the convenient plot point, which is the giant monster that destroyed the barge because they kept going straight.
Yeah.
Um, then we see they run from the monster into a cave. Just so happens to be an entrance into kind of where they're wanting to go,
You can get to the
but
Great Forge from
around
here.
the Great Forge. It also led to a convenient route that I started seeing things. Not only was I calling this from like the very beginning when they were talking about like, reinforcements,
Mm-hmm.
that something like this was going to happen, but also I don't know if you noticed when they were getting closer, there was some Imperial
Paneling.
designs and the paneling in the wall. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
like
like that's Imperial. Like,
oddly, they were walking through a very old cave they mysteriously stumbled into that was new and built.
well, not necessarily that part yet, because that they didn't get to that part, the new part built yet. Right
It's
before they got
newer.
there,
It wasn't blowed up.
well, right before they got there, all of a sudden, several jetpacks come flying from above.
And guess what, guys? That white armor we saw before, we got Imperial Super Commandos again. Now,
It's like
emphasis on the
it's like
Commandos.
2.0 because we
Yeah.
kind of already seen them. These are kind of like an
Imagine
improved
Gar
version.
Saxon with
Yeah.
cooler armor, a better design. I like Gar Saxon's helmet.
And actually,
God, this
Beskar.
is so much cooler. This is so much cooler. These guys look so cool. I
Because
I
the original
cannot
ones,
deny that.
I don't think the original ones had Beskar.
No, I don't think they did either. Yeah, that's why was the
And
whole point
these
because they didn't wear it because
yeah.
the weapon they were using.
Yeah, no, yeah. So the whole thing was because they were dying. They lost from the lightsabers.
Yep.
And so yeah, they're like new, improved Beskar.
Still nice
They,
white, crispy white and black outfit with white and red for the leaders. Loved
they
it.
duke it out and then like conveniently run away, and Mandalorians charge after them down the new cave that you're talking about. That all of
Hmm.
a sudden starts having plating of Imperial tech, and it
Very,
shows
very
up.
new.
And then all of a sudden they're in a large Imperial hangar or entrance to Imperial hangar. It's like a secret Imperial base hangar.
And lo and behold, only all of them but four can make it back through the before the doors close. It's a trap. Admiral Akbar
Yeah,
is
they start
screaming from his grave.
they start firing. All of a sudden this door closes, cutting off Din.
Ooh, what? No way.
They cut off Din, and they have this whole speech as Gideon shows up in new armor.
Also, looks like a straight G. Like,
Awesome armor,
mm, looks good.
awesome, super mega shiny.
Has horns.
But
has got some accoutrement.
easily designed off of the Maul armor.
Mm-hmm.
Red and black, got Maul horns, but all lit up and
And
fancy.
I'm gonna give Gideon this.
He's got good taste.
He's got great taste, and he knows Mandalorians well. So well, he wants to
Yeah.
be one, apparently. Like, real bad.
Yeah, he
Real
says
bad.
Mandalore's going to live on except through me, is what he
Yeah.
literally says. As
And he kind of just goes on his villain spiel about how the
Yeah.
Dark Trooper 3.059 Update 7 is me. I'm it.
and then they start to capture Din as he fights off, and he can't fight them all off, and
Yep.
they grab him, they take him off.
Do we get into it now?
Oh, not yet.
Okay.
There's a little bit more. So yeah, the hull didn't off. I
Yep.
don't know why
Yep.
Din, but oh well.
Yep.
And
Bye.
then
Bye
and then
bye.
they're like watching Din
No
get
one's gonna
carried
do
off,
anything. Yeah,
and
bye.
they're like, "What do we do?" And then she's like, "I know. Let's get you guys out." So she runs away, cuts a hole. Well, no, first, sorry, I skipped a part.
Yeah, Moff
Gideon's
Gideon
like,
is like, oh,
Gideon's like,
Bo-Katan.
"Give up again. Give me the sword.
You've
I
got something I
promise to not.
don't.
I promise not to do it again." And she's finally learning from her
Promise not to do
mistakes.
it again.
She's finally learning from her mistakes. She goes, "No, I'm not falling for that again."
No.
Runs the opposite direction,
Runs to
cuts a
the
hole.
other door, takes out her dark saber that she's had the whole time, and cuts a hole in the pure metal door. Mind you, the one they were just in front of was half glass.
And after they start to evacuate, they open the other door and start to fire on them, where Paz starts to cover their retreat.
There's no other way. You guys go without me.
Yeah, they're all gone, and he's still firing. He's like, "There's too many of them."
He kills them all. I'm not even
They'll
like,
follow
fuck
us
it.
through the small hole.
He beats ass. He destroys them. Single-handedly takes down all the other super commandos in that room because there was apparently an army.
Also, we did skip something. I forgot. We did skip the other part of the army that he sent off to the fleet above when he was capturing Din.
Yeah.
He's like, you see these ships? He says, release them, and they released the bombers and TIE interceptors. TIE interceptors are fantastic against the Mandalorian ships like the Gauntlet because they are a lot more agile than them.
Yeah,
and
Josh, they had plenty of time. Plenty of time.
They really needed Din's ship to fight off the interceptors.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a problem.
Yeah. And don't forget, by the way, this whole time, Axe Wolves has been gone to try and get reinforcements. So that's also sketchy. That's sketchy.
Well, that's not the. He's the one who shot up in the ceiling, isn't he?
Oh, yes, he shot up in the ceiling.
One of them shot up in the ceiling.
Also,
how is he going to reach the fleet?
The armorer has already taken the ship and left with injured people.
Yeah, we'll get to that one.
So he doesn't even have a ship.
Yeah, he's gonna fly all the way up in his jetpack that we've shown runs out of fuel very quickly.
Yeah.
With the bird episode.
Yep.
And how long? Even if it doesn't, let's say he's in limit fuel, he's no way he's gonna beat TIE interceptors into space, especially through the crazy crap that's above the planet.
Does he even have enough oxygen or fuel in his suit to get through Atmo and into the actual cruiser?
Well, don't forget the layer of the crap that's still above the planet.
Yeah.
He would probably die on the process.
Oh, the storm? Yeah, Mandalore's covered in a massive storm.
That ships struggle to get through. But yeah, so, Paz still like, no, you go, I'll hold him off. He does hold him off.
Whoa, he murks him straight gorilla style, just bam!
Very realistic. I've seen that happen in real life with real machine guns.
And then he just hits a dude with it. Blap.
They're useless. Even if the weapon doesn't look like. By the way, a fun thing about machine guns, even if when the barrel overheats like that, the barrel still looks fine, but it still warps just enough that the integrity of the barrel is no longer good enough to be used to fire. Even if he waits for it to cool down, the weapon's gone. You'd have to remake the barrels. So that's a fun fact about machine guns. But yeah, we get now the Praetorian Guards show up.
And they look sick. They have this awesome, almost like Achilles Greco style helmet, and their armor.
So they're basically the predecessor of
the Praetorians that will guard.
The successor of the Emperor's Guards.
Yes.
That never did anything in the movies.
Yeah. And the predecessor
of the Praetorian Guard from the sequels.
Yes.
That was guarding Snoke. That we see them fight terribly. I'm not gonna get in that choreographed scene.
In this scene, they fight really good in a group of three. Paz kind of holds his own for a little bit, but they literally they just create a triangle around him and stab him in the back.
I mean, without any weapons, and those guys are
backup. You mean without any backup, like the 12 Mandalorians that ran away,
or like Grogu that watches Din get captured and does nothing.
That literally has the Force.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, some speculations. Oh yeah, I forgot to ask what your thoughts for the season is so far, but I
I love it.
kind
No,
of
this is some of the most amazing Star Wars ever. The season's been really
uh
good, and I like the story that we're getting and how
I
it's
just
kind of like finally building up and getting to a really huge
yeah
place, which will lead to the movie, of course, that Filoni's doing.
yeah there is yeah. Well, I just hate some of the episodes that led up to this. I wish we could have skipped some of the unnecessariness.
Yeah, but
Just
don't forget the entire first
it's
season is unnecessary. That's the whole point of it,
it's
though.
it's the fun of Star Wars. But the problem is we only get 8 episodes, and these episodes are getting shorter and shorter with each episode 20 minutes long. And we're barely getting, and by the time we get into any good parts, we gotta wait 2 more years for the next season to come out.
Well, I
It's
mean
my problem.
that's TV. That's how
I
they
know
get you.
it's irritating that they did this, and I have a problem with it.
And how do you think I feel? Paz did not need to die
Yeah,
whatsoever. Okay, so here we go. I'm
Paz
done.
dies if you
Din
don't know.
Djarin should not have been taken at all. Period. Either. You are staring at a fucking plexiglass and metal door. You have a dark saber and 14 other motherfuckers behind you with rockets and guns and Beskar that have already proven they can take these guys out no problem. You could have cut a hole and saved him. Besides all that, hey Grogu, you have the Force. I
Yeah,
know
I
you
don't
just
understand.
studied with Luke Skywalker for 2 years,
Yeah,
but if Master Luke Skywalker can get a little spaghetti upsetty and try to kill his nephew because he had a bad dream, I don't think he's gonna sit there and watch his father get
I
captured
mean,
and not start Force choking people.
even when he was just now learning the Force, he stopped that mud beast. He's picked up giant creatures, but
He
how
choked Cara
it
Dune
goes.
because she was
It,
winning at chess.
it literally goes against his character that he didn't do anything.
Right. Try to open the doors. Try to grab the enemies. Try to choke Gideon. Something.
But the thing that drove me nuts, besides that, there's that part that nobody did anything. They just, I mean, the only thing that makes sense is that she wanted to evacuate the Mandalorians, so she didn't like sacrifice the rest of them. I still think they could have held them off to get them all out.
15 seconds max to cut in, right? And she would have had cover the whole time. They could have just fired. They could have dragged in and then just fought through the hole until they
Yeah,
opened the door. Like they would have had the spot. They would have had it.
they just shot Gideon right there and it'd be over with.
Right.
Mandalorian credits instantly.
No, imagine that. Grogu just reaches out with the force and goes, "Let go of my father." Snap.
And, yeah, kills Gideon. Da da da. We'll be
Yeah.
back with Ron.
Right. Exactly.
But my other thing is the terrible plot devices leading up to getting there. You conveniently me when the ship lands, conveniently this bard shows up out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Conveniently, where they conveniently know where they. Well, that's fine. They can know where that is. But the other annoying plot device immediately, because it's not like they've been wandering forever. They literally just got there. They, it would make more sense if they've been wandering
For like a
forever.
few weeks or something. Yeah.
But these guys have no idea that Imperials are there. How have they been leaving the planet and they
Right.
had
How
not
do they
seen
have
them?
no idea that the Imperials are there?
The other plot device is a giant monster comes out, crushes them conveniently in the spot where they need to hide in the cave. That conveniently leads them straight towards where this new Imperial base is. It
And
just is like
if you don't notice, the dudes in the dusters either get shot, one of them gets killed in the first fight, and then when they're leaving, you don't really see them anymore. They're not, they're like, there's like one in the back of the group, and the other two were just like gone.
so. Yeah, that was the annoying things.
So
about
that's
the
suspicious.
episode.
Are they the spies? Now, who's the other spy? A lot of people think it's the armorer, because the armorer, who literally wanted to go to Mandalore, took everyone to Mandalore. It
Yeah.
was her idea, needed to get to the Great Forge. When they said, "Hey, we can get you to the Great Forge," said, "Oh, hey,
Yeah.
I gotta leave real quick with these injured guys. Bye."
Yeah, that was very weird. That was the first thing I said when she wanted to leave. I'm like, "You're an armor, and you don't want to see the Great Mandalorian Forge." It's like literally in your job description.
Right.
Why do you immediately want to bail when you want to go? That when they say we're going to the Forge, oh, I gotta go. And then also, and they weren't even planning on evacuating the injured. That wasn't even a thought process. It's
Right.
just like, oh, we should take the injured. I'll do it. And then also,
Convenient.
there's several things. Gideon learned how to use Beskar and make Beskar armor.
Yes.
Who taught him how to?
Right. That's very hard
Almost
to use.
as if an armor taught him how, because you can't. Beskar is so difficult because it's such a high melting point. You got to do a certain way to make the armor.
She made
other
his
way-
suit. she either made his suit or taught him how to make the suits, or at least like the
I mean,
combination. I don't even think
we
he'd be
had
able to
a
do it. She would have, at least she made the template, if nothing else.
then also, um, I mean, the other thing, she has horns on her helmet. The other person's horns on the helmet,
Yeah.
is Gideon,
Yes,
which they both
there's quite a good when you look at the two
connection to
helmets.
Maul.
Hmm.
They both have connection to the Maul Death Watch
So,
that
are
was
you
loyal.
beginning to think more and more that this is Rook cast, the Mandalorian?
I don't know. I Yeah, it'd be hard to say.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a lot. There's just so much in this episode that I'm just like,
If
but
she if she is not a spy, which honestly it makes no sense why she would be a spy,
right,
because why would you side with the person who literally glassed your planet? The only
right,
thing I think of is she's like so hateful to the original Mandalorian society, being Death Watch, that she's like good riddance, you know?
yeah,
And she can only see the that's the other thing is like she can only see an out
hmm,
of if the Imperials win, at least they get Beskar to play with, and it's a future for Mandalorians where otherwise it hasn't been a future.
yeah,
It just I don't know if it's she's been so suspicious to begin with,
right.
but I don't know if it's a red herring, bad writing, or if
Well,
she really is just
a
a
lot of people are
spy.
saying that it's Paz was the original red herring, and now we of course see how that ended out. Which
Yeah.
again, yep, the boy took out all of them himself. Had he literally just had Din and Bo, or just Bo and Grogu, or just Bo, Grogu, and two other Mandos, those Praetorians would not have won.
You would need Grogu because they you really need the Force for those dudes.
Yeah.
Um, the big thing for me in the future, I'm hoping this leaves a nice arc for Paz's son to
Hmm.
be best friends with Grogu in the future when Grogu's conquering the galaxy that has Paz's son as like his right hand man. It'd be so awesome.
That's actually really good poetry. I like that. I like that a lot. That'd be awesome. Season 6 or 7, there's like a nice time jump. It's
The
like
sons of
after the
the
movie
two
or something.
sons of Din and Paz.
Yeah. I again loved this episode, but I don't think anyone's gonna be able to perfectly explain to me how those Mandalorians with a dark saber and
It's
a Force baby and an IG unit didn't think that they could at least help save Din.
it's the dumb. It's one of the oldest movie tropes, and it's one of the dumbest movie tropes that they still
But
use.
it's like a
And it
slap in the face when it's like, we can't get to Din. And then she turns around and pops out her can opener and gets right out, no problem. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and we lose Din
He's
and
just
Paz in
gone
the
now. We have no
process.
idea. So the next episode is now Rescue Din, which, yes, it mirrors the last finale where it was Rescue Grogu. I get it. That's cool. They could have done it differently.
You
Had she
literally
just not had the dark saber, had like the dark saber fallen off of her, or had they been put in an electromagnetic field that renders lightsabers useless, it's
well
just give me something.
you literally lost your two best fighters in the process by doing
Yep.
it. Because Din with his plot armor and with Paz
Yeah.
with his machine gun that he still somehow just like would not get shot at as he's standing there. Like to be honest, in a real situation, if I was fighting Mandalorians, I saw one guy run up front and start just unloading rounds. That's the
Yeah.
first thing I'm
Yeah.
gonna shoot at.
Yeah.
But
That's
they didn't
that's
know.
number one
If
target.
you watch the episodes where he's doing that, like the pirate episode, nobody shoots at him. He's literally just unloading, and they're like, "Let's pick off the other guys,
Yeah.
not the."
Plot armor. But that's like, I don't plot armor doesn't bug me near as much as
Yeah, that's fine.
plot oopsie I forgot. Like, so what, seeing Gideon shook Bo-Katan and Grogu to their core so violently they were just like,
What's the point of capturing Din though? Why not kill him?
You're right. What's the
What
point of capturing
would
Din? What?
you don't gain anything
Oh,
for
I
having
know.
Din.
I know exactly what it is, because then he knows Grogu will come to get him.
You just go capture Grogu at this point.
Right, what are they gonna do? Just kill the armor and Bo-Katan, and you've got a bunch of nobodies and some younglings. And then you
You know the
take the
Republic ain't gonna
foundlings and
show
you
up.
take the foundlings and turn them into your next line of super commandos.
I mean, he's trying to make a Force clone, I'm guessing, or give himself the Force for all I know.
I heard a fun little theory. Do you think He calls those the Dark Troopers because they are clones of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, me either.
It would. I don't think it's going to be clones of him, and that's a theory that I saw debunked, and I agree with this debunking because it took the original cloners that had that massive facility. It took them 10 years to make the first batch of clones,
Mm-hmm.
and it took even longer to train those clones to fight.
True.
So when they had that massive facility, they took them a very long time to get, battle hardened clones, and those are just like generic white clone, like the troops.
Shiny.
So I don't think they're clones. If they are clones, it would be like they were, the clone commandos we've seen
Mm.
from, but they shouldn't. I guess they
Heavily
technically could
reprogrammed.
be alive
Mm,
because
yeah.
I think they are because they're genetically different from the standard clones, so that
Yeah.
could be make sense why they have a normal lifespan. I don't know.
Right. All I know is the armor is sketchy. Those dudes on the barge are sketchy. Paz did not need to die. Bo Katan let Din get captured,
You
whether
think
she meant to or not. And Grogu, who is again, I just want to reiterate this, guys. Yes, he studied with Luke. Yes, he studied with the Jedi as a very young child.
study
But
more than Luke did?
but he has shown the ability to fall to his emotions, and the reason he left the Jedi is his attachment to Din. When a Jedi sees someone that they have given all their attachment and love and personality to in danger, they almost always fall to the dark side. In
I
that
mean,
moment, I do not see how he was not a typhoon of raw
yeah.
force power because of all the raw emotion of
We
anger and hate and loss and pain that he was feeling. He could have easily grabbed those doors and literally ripped them apart.
well, literally, we see how close he is to Din. It was hard for him to leave Din to train with Luke, and it devastated him. And he's been stuck with him for so long. He's so close to Din. So to leave Din for starters, and he brought this up earlier. And if you don't want to go back on the earlier the choke situation, how impulsive he is. When he first got their droid, he went and started stealing stuff from the stalls.
Yeah.
He doesn't think things through. He just does it. Why did he not do it at this moment? It
Mm-hmm.
makes no sense.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense for his character for Grogu to have not lashed out viciously. When Bo-Katan said we're leaving, for him not to have been like, bullshit, no, no,
Yeah,
no,
they
no,
should have
no,
tried to
no.
drag him and failed because it's an IG unit, and they
Right.
would not be able to. The only one would be able to probably try to wrestle with him is Paz,
Mm-hmm.
but I still think an IG unit's stronger than Paz.
Right. But like as the door is closing, okay, I get maybe he's just young and not thinking it, but like Grogu, grab open, grab and open, or hold open. You've
You don't even
grabbed.
need to open, just force,
Yeah, just
just force, yeah, force grab his heart and destroy it.
as
Period.
somebody who has always gone Sith, it's not because they're cooler. It's just because I know how I am as an emotional human, and there's no way you can tell me Grogu didn't have a flood of emotions. Like, and emotions, the dark side, are like a supercharged battery. That's what everyone talks about. Like when George Lucas talks about the numbering system, which doesn't really mean that much, but it's just a rough numbering system. Palpatine's a 10, and like Obi-Wan's a 8 or a 7, and Anakin is a 8, but he becomes a 9 and then a 10 with the dark side.
Oh my god, just reminded me of
Yeah.
which is some podcast about how the sequels ruin the prequels, well, all of it, because yeah, I'm getting, but I kind of want to talk about because I saw it the other day. I
Well, to
talked
finish
about
the point
how
real quick
this.
though, just
Yeah,
to finish the
okay, yeah.
point though, more or less what they're saying is, but when you use the dark side, Anakin jumped from an 8 and could have gone to like a 15 had he never
But yeah,
been cut up.
the dark side is supposed to be kind of the cheat code to
Yes.
better power.
And that's why it destroys
Yeah,
your body.
yeah,
So, yes.
and yeah, yeah, Grogu. Yeah, I don't understand why he didn't get mad at that point. He's got mad at dumber things, and to sit there or protect, like literally the first thing he protected, Din from the Mudhorn. He picked him up and did all that. He's done
Before
that
training.
before. Yeah, and now he just does nothing. My one of my fear is this is them setting up for Bo's, solo show for a while. I don't. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping they rescue him next episode, but
I'm sure they will.
I, I don't know. I feel like the fleet's gonna get destroyed in space, and they're gonna run for their lives. I don't know where they're gonna go. So she's probably gonna have to stay on the planet and probably try to find the mythosaur that's gonna conveniently show up, and I guess that's when Grogu trains it and he comes back. But
See, that's what I'm thinking is the Mythosaur and these like leftover Mandos pretty much just regroup and hey yeah, they're good. But I 100% say they're gonna get Din back next episode. I fully see that.
I and that's the other thing I can
But
think of.
do you think I think some I could though see like Din, Bo, Gideon. One of them is dying next episode. Period. Period. Done it. The way I
Gideon
feel.
it won't last. I don't think they'll kill. I don't think they'll. I don't think they'll kill Bo.
That
I
would be
think
the
Bo's
ultimate
safe.
surprise, though, wouldn't it?
I honestly I
If
wouldn't
she
be surprised
gave
if
her life to save the Mandalorians.
I wouldn't be surprised if Din doesn't last.
Because to me, I could see if Bo
Because
dies, that would make Din then want to be a like,
yeah.
as he said, "I swear my life to your story." Well, that's her story was to lead Mandalore.
But the reason I think it could possibly be Din is because
Mhm.
the actor kind of doesn't want to play the character as much anymore.
Where'd you read that?
It's just he hasn't liked necessarily playing the role as much as his other stuff, and he's been real busy with his other. It's not that he hates it; it's just it's not his favorite character.
Hmm.
Um, but if they do that, I think that these already plummeting viewer drops, I think it's going to destroy the next. I don't think anybody's going to want to watch it with Din gone.
I will.
Because well, I know I'm just saying that a lot of people watch it for Din and Grogu, and to take out either one, I think it would destroy the viewership.
Now it's
Um,
Mami and Grogu, but I get what you're saying. I don't. That's why I don't think they would take him out. That'd be it. That would literally be chopping their own leg off.
well, literally with Bo returning, you can literally see the viewership of each episode go lower and lower
And that those
as they
are a bunch
focus more
of
on Bo.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a bunch of fucking dudes who can't get their fucking whitey tidies out of their ass.
I mean,
It's not that. It's like the show was called The Mandalorians, not
yeah,
Din Djarin.
the Mandalorian. That there's no S. But yeah.
Eventually, they'll add one.
And my problem is I still feel my problem with Bo is it's not because she's a female. My problem is we've seen her story before. I just want to get a new story. I feel like I don't want to see more Bo. I'd rather see a new Mandalorian. If you don't use Din, use the armor for all I know.
Yeah,
I want something different.
and
I hate
yes, I can get that
Star
because a lot.
Wars
I can get the point of
clinging to
view.
the
Mhm.
safe. You know,
Yeah, but to me,
It's-
it's one of the few things that makes sense because she's like the last person who made it out of all the rebels and everything. But I can also see your point though, which I didn't think of that at all. We're like, yeah, it's like we've already seen her try this twice
yeah.
now.
And my other thing is she also stands for the thing that I hate most about that side of the Mandalorians is the bloodline because
Oh
she's
yeah,
special because her she was born as a princess. She's the
yeah,
bloodline. No, she doesn't need to be. She needs to earn. The whole that's the whole thing. To me, you got to earn the Mandalore originally to me was to be Mandalore. You have to be respected by all the Mandalorians. You have to earn to be Mandalore. You didn't just give it because you're born. It's not
hmm
like like we have feudal kings or whatever that uh or dictators like born into their position. I hate that. I think somebody that should be picked be the leader. The best leader should be selected by
yeah.
everyone, their followers.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't want.
that's why I've never. Yeah, I know you've always had the idea where you've always really enjoyed the classical lore of and legends of Mandalorians,
Yeah,
and yeah, and I have too because I would love to finally get more of like old Republic style where we got to see every creed and race and species to Gruta,
yeah.
Nikto, all of them. They were all Mandalorians.
And that's why I would rather see her as a supporting character. Like
Hmm.
I've done this before and failed, but here you can learn from my mistakes.
Yeah,
I feel like if it was real for her character, she's still gonna make mistakes.
hmm
I feel like, yeah, I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe though this big last fight, if she fails to get in
Yeah.
again or something, this could be the thing where she literally looks at Din and is just like, it has to be someone else. But
Well,
who knows?
I
It's
think
gonna
what's
be
gonna
awesome. It's gonna be great.
I think would be a cool finale is we see her not knowing what to do because she can't get up in the space now. She has no ship.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, what do I do? Let's go release the Mythosaur. And she goes and the Mythosaur tries to kill her. And then Grogu should show up and like tame it with the Force.
Mm.
And then that's how he kind of becomes Sabo eventually like relinquishes him the dark saber or teaches him how to use it or
Oh yeah.
like he's like they realize now he's going to be the true Mandalore
Right.
when he becomes of age type of
Right.
situation.
The foundling, a foundling of a foundling, no ties to blood, no ties to the species of that is
Yeah.
Mandalorian, just entirely different.
Not a human
Not a
for
human,
starters.
not even like a normal Mandalorian, a force using Mandalorian.
I mean he's setting him up with his own armor.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a suit now that he can function normally. It's like you're setting him up. It's set him up to yeah to be Mandalore the Conqueror
Yeah.
or as
Mandalore
he
the
comes,
Unstoppable, let's go. I'm down.
which is gonna be awesome because he's gonna be a super powered force wielding dark side loving Mandalorian.
Yeah. And so pretty much again, guys, I just want to say love the episode, love the season.
Yeah.
I just didn't like Grogu and them not doing nothing. Hopefully they'll rectify that in the next episode and Grogu's gonna go like absolutely ballistic. That would be dope.
I just want to see him on the back of a mythosaur on the in the IG droid as he's stomping through the Imperial base, going yes, 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 yes,
That would be amazing. All
as
right,
it
guys.
chomps Gideon's head off. Yes,
Just
yes,
yeah,
yes.
plop one bite.
No, I want to see Gideon run away, and then all of a sudden, Thrawn standing right behind him. That's got to be the finale.
Yeah.
Gideon runs away from the mythosaur, tail between his legs. He's like, "Phew! I finally got out of that in his own base, and he's all of a sudden he's showing up into the little meeting council, and then
Mm-hmm.
he gets a tap on his shoulder. He turns around, see a blue head.
Just takes him out. Puts on his nice new Mandalorian chest armor, which is gonna save him later when Ahsoka tries to stab him in the chest. I mean, if Thrawn would be dumb to pass up Beskar armor, especially when he knows Jedi are coming after him.
If anyone steals cultures or knows about stealing cultures better than Gideon, it would be
It
Thrawn.
would be
Because
Thrawn.
Gideon likes to do it too, but he's
But
not as good as
Thrawn, yeah,
Thrawn.
Thrawn can hold a master class in other people's cultures.
But he literally he learns everything about people's cultures.
Yeah, that's why I can't wait to see him. It's going to be such a good villain. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us in this very heated episode as we talk about what is soon to be the finale of season 3 of The Mandalorian. We of course have Visions coming out soon. Then we have the children's show coming out on the same day. And then after May the 4th be with us all, we will be a little bit of a hiatus until we get into Ahsoka and many other things, and hopefully more news, of course, with Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, the movies, so on and so forth. Thank you all for joining. It was a marvelous evening, and I hope you have a rest of your evening to be grand. That was a great way of saying that. We'll just act like that didn't happen that way. Have a great rest of your weekend as well, and as always, may the Force serve you well.
And may the Force be with you.
Give it a little bit of time.